This is an elite opportunity for the New York Rangers. As the Four Nations face-off continues on, a couple prospects are making waves with the Hartford Wolfpack, and it sets up a pretty interesting trade deadline as not one, but two of them could be traded. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and the shout out to the over 6,500 of you who are subscribed. We're now on the road to 7,000 subscribers, and it's going to be a very exciting second half of the season as the Rangers continue to push towards the playoffs. But obviously the Four Nations face-off is well underway here, and it's going to be Canada and the USA in the final. It should be a very exciting game on Thursday. But in the meantime, with the NHL on pause, the AHL has not been on pause, and there's a couple players that I think deserve some time with the New York Rangers to be called up after this is done, and one of them is Brennan Othmann. He has been playing phenomenal. His best hockey of his life, I think, at this point, maybe, besides maybe the OHL. And he's been putting up some crazy numbers over the last couple of games, weeks, all of that good stuff. And this is from Statboy Steven and a prospect update for the New York Rangers. Brennan Othmann's second 2-goal game of the week was not enough to avoid a 4-3 overtime loss, but he has 9 goals in his last 11 games, and it's not including all points, but he doesn't have too many assists. He has a ton of points, though, with 9 goals in 11 games. Brett Berard has also been impressing. He has 10 points in 9 games now. And Matt Robertson also on the back end there on defense, his first multi-point game since March 2nd of last season. So some pretty impressive stats. And as you can see here, a couple other guys, not really a prospect, but Eric Branchton playing very well as well. 1 assist, 4 shots on goal. Brennan Othmann, 2 goals, 2 shots. This is just in the game yesterday. 2 assists, 3 shots on goal for Brett Berard. Matthew Robertson with a strong game, and Dylan Garand with a great game as well. Despite the loss, he put up a lot of saves there as well. But, that is good news for the New York Rangers. And Brennan Othmann is a guy to me that should either be traded at this point, which I'm not a fan of because we know that the Rangers have trouble developing players. So either be traded or he needs to be called up as soon as they return to action, which everyone on NHL rosters is returning and reporting tomorrow at 2 p.m. So obviously the season resumes on Saturday. So after the Four Nations face-off. So Brennan Othmann should be called up immediately. First thing tomorrow, he should be called up. And Othmann scored twice in yesterday's overtime loss, with Berard assisting on both goals. They've combined for 11 points, 5 goals and 6 assists in their last 4 games with Hartford. I feel like they are not too good for the AHL, but they're putting in some really, really good performances right now and deserve another look in terms of Brett Berard and his first look of the season in terms of Brennan Othmann. And Vince is going to have some more updates as well. And the last time we saw Othmann as well, he was looking very comfortable with the Rangers. He was in on the forecheck. He was throwing hits, between the legs passes, all that stuff. So, this injury and him not starting the season with the team because of Adam Edstrom taking that 4th line spot away from him. And I don't even think that Brennan Othmann should be on the 4th line. Should be in a 3rd line position role at this point. Maybe even higher than that. He's playing really well. But he looked comfortable the last time that we saw him. And again, this is just from this Twitter user, his opinion. The way Brennan Othmann has been tearing it up as of late, his trade value is at an all-time high for sure. So either call him up to play in top 6, which his source thinks that the New York Rangers won't on info. Now, again, a lot of this is all speculation, right? Or maybe they trade him. If they're going to trade Brennan Othmann, and I brought this up in a video a couple days ago, and there's this from Dominic as well, that there's a rumor, I brought it up again in a video a couple days ago about the Rangers trading for Trent Frederick from the Boston Bruins, and also dumping Chris Kreider's salary on the Boston Bruins. In return, the Bruins also get Brennan Othmann. Not a fan of that move. If you're trading Brennan Othmann, I kind of agree with this tweet more. You should go out and get a guy who's going to be a real difference maker. Although I don't mind Trent Frederick if you were to sign him in the offseason. That would make more sense to me at least. But again, I wouldn't mind Trent Frederick on the team next year, but this makes more sense. You trade Brennan Othmann for a guy who's going to go out and make a difference, like a Kirby Dach or somebody along the lines of this. Jared McCann I brought up a couple days ago as well, and I said that, this would be a trade where I wouldn't be opposed to trading Brennan Othmann. In this one, it would make more sense. But I think Brennan Othmann at this point in time, if you're not going to trade him, deserves a look. And I don't think that they're going to trade Brett Berard either. I don't think that's in the plans whatsoever. I think, it's mostly around Brendan Othmann. But again, wouldn't trade him. I would give him a look first because he looks like he has the opportunity to be a pretty good player. He uses his physicality. He can score right now. You can see it in the AHL level. Can he do it at the NHL level? There's only one way to find out. Call this guy up. And there's another story here from Vince Mercogliano and his final story from his visit with the Hartford Wolfpack while the Four Nations face-off's going on. There's a couple of guys really surprising and playing really well, like Eric Branstrom, who was acquired in a trade just a little while ago. And from the Vancouver Canucks, he came in the JT Miller trade, and Brendan Othmann, Matthew Robertson, obviously Adam Sikora as well. So a couple of people are, playing well, and the top six make up. So obviously with Othmann returning from an upper body injury, that cost him over 2 months of playing time. So that's the other thing too. Othmann has barely played this season at all. AHL, NHL, what have you. He's barely played this season because of his injury. And Berard settling back in following a 19-game NHL stint in which he looked good, might I add. He did look really good at the NHL level. And Hartford's top two forward prospects have caught fire with 11 combined points. I thought this part was very interesting as well. Again, 5 goals, 6 assists in the last 4 games, while skating together on a line with center Jake Lecision. And Othmann is playing in his natural left wing spot with Berard on the right. We saw Berard on the right wing with the New York Rangers. He looked good. Brendan Othmann should be on the left wing. So now the question is, we can take a look at their stats as well. Brendan Othmann, so far this season, he's barely played, but he has that's penalty minutes. He has 19 points in 25 games. That is pretty good. It is hard to score. People underrate this all the time at the AHL level. There's a lot of guys who are, trying to make it, and it's a harder league at times to a degree. But even Brett Berard, he's impressing as well. 23 points in 27 games so far this season with the Hartford Wolfpack. So, and that is not including his points up in the NHL, which is 7 in 19 games so far this year. So if you take a look at this lineup, who would you make way for Brendan Othmann? Who is going out the door? Or if you're trading Brendan Othmann, right, who would come in, right? So I'm going to take the stance of you don't trade Brendan Othmann at this point in time. Let's keep some youth. Let's stop doing that thing where you trade all your youth away and you get some guys who are a little bit older and don't really perform well. Let's stop that, right? Who goes the other way? My vote now, a lot of people might say Chris Kreider. A lot of fans want to keep Chris Kreider. There's a lot of names being thrown out there. I think you take a look at trading Riley Smith. He played on your fourth line, for a little while there before the break, maybe 2 games or something like that. And, the lines aren't going to stay this way. This is the last time we saw the Rangers. And, I would trade Riley Smith because he's in the last year of his deal. He has some retained salary already. When you acquired him, the Pittsburgh Penguins were retaining salary already on that deal. So he would be a little bit easier to trade. I think a contender would like this guy on their team. And you're probably not going to re-sign Riley Smith next year, so why not get an asset for him? It's the same type of thing with Ryan Lindgren. Why don't you trade him right now, get some type of asset? A younger guy like Brendan Othmann can come in and see if he can make a difference in the playoffs and the playoff push this season. I think that is the route that they should go. But let me know what you think about Brendan Othmann as of late. I think he's been playing fantastic. Brett Berard, too, I think he deserves another look at the NHL level. I wouldn't trade either of them. I would actually, call them up, see what they have. And if, you're going to trade anyone at this point in time, I think it's Ryan Lindgren and maybe Riley Smith. But let me know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.